Hey everyone, Case here, and this is the training day number 7. As always in this series, we are not experts, we do not pretend to be, just showing us doing what we do. With that said, I'm going to disappear pretty quick from the rest of this video, as what you're seeing now is just some B-roll, as the actual video is all about Niko and his recent training day. So Niko, take it away.
Hello everyone, D12 here with another Real Steel training event. While this one isn't a curated training event with an RSO, I am still using his private land for a personal pistol handgun training, with a little bit of rifle, trying out some new accessories I put on it. The uniform and equipment that I've decided to use for today is going to be a blouse and trousers in the M90 Swedish camouflage pattern, my typical Smersh webbing gear, and the rifle in hand is going to be a Century Arms Trooper model, with the various handguns are going to be seeing in just a moment. So the first handgun in the training rotation is going to be a South Korean made Daewoo DH40 chambered in 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. It's a unique handgun in the means that it is a single action, double action handgun. However, the single action can be moved to double action by just moving the hammer without having to depress the trigger. It's just a very cool and unique firearm in my opinion. However, because I've been manipulating the double and single action mechanism too much, I have not damaged but overstressed the trigger spring, so it doesn't reset itself anymore. However, the firearm is still considered, safe to use, so I just need to replace a simple spring that I just need to find at least a copy of it somewhere. But nope, it is a handgun with a magazine capacity of 10 rounds, so 10 plus 1 in the chamber. It's a fine duty pistol, however, it's, bit more on the age side, and some one-handed shooting. I like one-handed shooting in a way, with that being my eyesight, not so much as what I'm able to see, but my depth perception, and also just being able to shoot one-handed is a secondary skill that should still be at least practiced. Moving on to the other side of the range, there are 3 steel targets presented in the El Presidente drill with my Glock 19 as the other side of my warm-ups, or at least this section of the warm-ups. With the size of the frame of Glock 19, I have a bad habit of overextending my thumb and holding down the slide lock. So even on empty, the slide would just go forward. It's nothing wrong with the firearm, it's just all on my side of things. So we have El Presidente the first half, and then a classic Kill Bill drill. Really what I'm trying to do with this form of El Presidente is just getting used to the movement of side to side, so that way my windage when presenting to targets is not off, as I have a bad habit of not shooting, high, but too far to the left or the right, depending on how my depth perception is working that moment. This moment of the pistol range, I was the only one around in the immediate area, so I like to have a little bit fun with the Tokarev model TT33, so this is the true Romanian Tokarev. 25 Tokarev is very interesting trying to handle the recoil in a short, snappy action, but it was still just very fun. The ammunition that I'm using is old world, corrosive, kindness corrosive ammunition, dated anywhere between as early as the late 1940s to 1990s, and very small amount of new production, but it's just mainly comm block ammunition that's really old that I'm trying to just burn through. So the rifle that I'm using is from the American brand Sentry Arms. This is their Trooper model. It's supposed to be one of their more limited edition models that I have changed the handguard out for a quad rail setup, and I was just getting used to how the new feel of the rifle is. And with the mount of my GoPro on the helmet, it doesn't make for a comfortable shooting experience and definitely a less than pleasant recording experience. So that's why there's only so few videos of this segment. The infamous 5-plate rack with the Beretta M9. This is still a handgun that is, well, fairly new to me still. While the platform is very comfortable for my sight picture and the trigger pull is still very comfortable, I just need to get used to the transition of the stock Glock trigger pull versus the Beretta M9 trigger pull. That being a strictly single action to a single double action, and getting used to that change of the sear pull. The play left rack is definitely a unforgivable mistress, if you will. As you can see, the splashing of the dirt in the background from true misses, or the sharp pinging of lead on steel, but it's the plate holder that I'm hitting and not the actual plates themselves. And the absolute frustration that you could definitely feel through the screen, as you can see the dirt splashing, left and right of the plates and not actually hitting the plate itself. Funny enough, the Glock 19 was my first, duty / concealed carry / competition pistol. However, I wanted to move towards something a little bit more of a wider grip, bit more comfortable trigger pull, and just better sight picture than the Glock 19. Now, granted, I can always customize the Glock 19, but with my luck of customizing firearms, the more parts and accessories I put into it, the greater likelihood of it having malfunctions or the parts just not fitting or working. So I wanted to keep the Glock 19 as stock as possible for concealed carry purposes, and I'll just move on to a separate full-size firearm for my duty carry or competition use. Now, granted, in the background I still plan on getting a separate Glock for competition shooting, but that is going to require all the upgrades out the wazoo. Down to the flat range again for some concealed carry style training with the Glock 19 again from the appendix carry. My first part of the training is just practicing the induced tactical reload of just shooting either 1 or 2 rounds, forcing a reload on myself, and then reaching to use the magazine holster attached to the appendix carry holster to perform a reload sequence. Just practicing my dexterity with the whole setup in general. When it comes to reload training, I always like to just keep it at the 1 to 2 rounds or using a maximum of 3 rounds for the reloading sequence. However, I'm also very aware that it can, lead to bad habits of alright, I just made a couple of shots, now I need to immediately reload. This is just a focus of firearms manipulation, and also just really trying to make those few shots count in those moments. Some more one-handed shooting again, so that way if I need to use my support hand to handle something or someone else, I can do so while still being confident in my accuracy in at least the very close distance if I have to. Yeah, that man right there is Sean. That's the owner of the land. Also his, training facility called Range 51. And the other couple of guys that were just there for a training event. Back to the kill bill drill, where I cannot count my ammunition in the magazine, so it's 6 shots instead of 5. It's a modified bill drill, but with a retreat action, as I haven't, trained in what would be a proper means of retreating while firing. That is controlled and wouldn't, have me shoot on the off foot. Right. So instead of taking a proper step, stop, it's a step and drag my opposite foot, leaving me to have a somewhat proper shooting stance while moving away from the target. And to round off this training event, I am back on the play rack of doom with the Tokarev, just burning through some more of my old surplus ammunition, mainly focusing on the one-handed shooting again, because 1, it's fun, and 2, for some reason it's just easier to shoot the Tokarev one-handed like this, or perhaps just aiming with it is a little bit easier one-handed. And here in this little segment, you're going to be seeing some more of the hang fire, where the hammer will be sent home and the Tokarev will fail to shoot, only for me to pull back the hammer to pull the trigger again, and it does go off almost all the time. There were some points in previous training days where the ammunition just wouldn't go off at all, due to the ammunition just either the primer is finally dead or the gunpowder itself is just dead as well, leaving me to safely dispose of the ammunition by the proper means, as there is always a possibility with a cook-off. It's a price you pay when you're using corrosive, or not just corrosive, but old military surplus ammunition, that you just have to know how to handle the situation and how to handle the ammunition in a safe manner. The ammunition that I bought was actually from a different gun store on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. during the lockdowns. So I was a bit more desperate trying to find ammunition for this handgun. So I had to accept it and buy it from a guy who packed it in 1 grand Ziploc baggie with all of the ammunition from different countries of origins and different dates and factories. So I should have known what I was getting myself into a bit better. But back at that time, I was just grabbing whatever I could, to be honest. As pretty much everybody was doing at that point in time, whatever kind of ammunition they could get during the shortages, they just grabbed it. No, my final thoughts for this event was just trying to get the dust off of some of the old equipment, trying to get used to new equipment, testing a lot of stuff actually, as that foregrip on the AK was not tightened down. I didn't realize that it was loose or how it got loose until I took it out to the range. As the day prior, I finally got it hand fitted onto the rifle, so it was just fun finding that failure out right in front of everybody. It was fantastic, but that has been since fixed and tightened down. And also just getting into more dynamic training with my concealed carry equipment, just getting more familiar with it and different scenarios and more intense training regimens, and to also just clean out the storage a little bit of ammunition that I don't really need at that point in time, while still using it for an effective means of training, testing out gear, and testing out different targets. But nope, thank y'all for your time, and I'll see y'all in the next video sometime. Alright, bye.